Hi, Mikel.
Hello.
Can I just get a reaction to the very surprising news of Sean Dyche leaving Burnley?
Well, I only have words of praise because what he's done at the club in the last 10 years, I think is phenomenal. I think he gave the club a really clear identity. He's managed to keep the team with one of the smallest budget consistently in the league. So just wishing him the best of luck, and it's always for colleagues sad to see when you see those decisions.
On to your own club now. Is there any latest on Thomas Partey, an update there, and any other injury news?
Yes, the news that we got after having another assessment, they are not great. It's not looking very positive, his availability this season. But we'll have to wait and see. He's trying to get back as quick as possible, but at the moment we are not very optimistic about it.
That's a real blow, isn't it? Because obviously Kieran Tierney and Thomas, that's two very key players in such a short space of time.
Yes, and the moment is not ideal, and we knew that towards the end of the season, one of the key elements it was going to be to have the team available and the squad available as much as possible. And we have a few issues with him and as well with Tomiyasu, but we need to continue to compete and work the best possible way.
At the start of the season, I don't think many expected Arsenal to be fourth or pushing for the Champions League. But all of a sudden there seems to be a bit of pressure all of a sudden. Do you think there's more of that because in fourth is your big rivals, Tottenham? If it was Manchester United, for example, do you think there wouldn't be this much pressure?
I think it's related to our history, and we want to be not fourth but third, second or first, and that's what we have to do. And that's always within every supporter, within everybody that has any connection with the club. So the moment that you see the team doing better and having better aspiration, your tendency is to get excited about it, and I think that's the right reaction.
Would you start the season, would you take fifth now going into Easter time?
At the start of the season,
yeah.
You cannot take anything because you don't know how to develop. You would ask me a week into the season, 2 weeks before, I could maybe give you a different answer, but no now.
Southampton obviously lost 6-0 last week. Do you think that's good for your side, or do you think they're going to come back wanting to do a lot better in front of their home fans, or is this a message to say to your players, hey, we can do this as well?
I think you're going to see two teams that are hurting because we are hurting. We lost the last 2 games, and we want to perform and win, and I'm sure after the home defeat that they had, they want to do the same.
Finally, who do you think is in control of the fourth spot? People say it's in Tottenham's hands, in your hands. Do you think it's still very open?
Whoever manages to win more games and play better, and it's going to be some twists still for sure. And the pressure, the perception is going to keep changing from now to the end of the season. We have to be being us and do what we have to do.
So just very quiet. Former Rangers man, how happy were you seeing them last night?
Delighted. The connection I have with that club, it's forever, and I'm so happy to see them what they did last night. So congratulations to them.
I love you hearing that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Michael, we'll go to Sebastian from the Premier League.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
We noticed on some of the footage that Alex Lacazette was not in training. Could you tell us more about the reasons behind that?
Obviously, there are private reasons that I cannot comment on, but I have no other team news to give apart from the guys that we have discussed.
A word on another player. I know it was before your time, but Xavi came out in an interview saying that just before you arrived, his bags were packed and he was ready to leave the club because of a conflict with the fans and the community. Can you talk us through how you think that situation has evolved and how important he is right now?
I wouldn't like to go into detail of what happened there. I think the importance of how things have developed is that for Granit, with his personality and the way he is, to have the capacity and to feel that the environment is right for him now to open up and show vulnerability, show the feelings that he had, and speak loudly about it and openly. I think it's a huge decision, and to do that you have to be emotionally really well, and you have to be prepared and mature to do that, and not a lot of people are able to do that.
Just one final one from me. After the game against Crystal Palace, you said that the performance was unacceptable, and then you went on to not perform very well against Brighton. What have you done differently this week to avoid another defeat?
I said that the performance in the first half it was unacceptable because I saw things that I didn't see for a long time, and I saw a big reaction in the second half, but we didn't put the game into a situation we could still get something out of it. Against Brighton, it was different. It was not an attitudinal thing. It was something else that again it wasn't good enough, and we didn't perform at the level that we should do. And we are trying to change things, but not too many things, because it's a lot of things that are working, but there are details that are letting the team. It's not that we are conceding 15, 20 shots and we are getting hammered in games. We are conceding 1 or 2 shots and we are getting penalised, and we haven't been efficient enough in a lot of things that we should do better.
Thank you very much.
James from ESPN.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Just to clarify on Lacazette, is Lacazette actually fit? Is he available for the weekend?
We will see if he's available. It's a good possibility that that's the case.
I could just ask you one about Bukayo Saka. He was on the end of a couple of rough tackles in the Brighton game, and I just wondered, after what Gerrard said about him following the Villa game, do you feel he's getting targeted a little bit now?
Well, the best players and the talented players are always going to be closely looked at, and they're going to close the space and they're going to be tight on them. Bukayo has to recognize that that's going to be the case, and the referees have to recognize that as well early in the game and try to protect them.
Do you think he needs a bit more protection than he's getting?
I think he needs the protection that all the players need at this level, nothing different or nothing special.
I mean, he's a great kid. I presume you back him to sort of be able to rise above all that.
He's a great kid, and he's a really clear idea what he needs to expect, and the better he does, the more difficult they're going to try to put in for him, that's for sure.
Thanks, James. Go to Charles from goal. You don't need the mic. I don't think we need the mic.
Okay. Right. Mikel, I think we sat in this room a few months back. It was after the game at Anfield, and you spoke about Nuno's difficult afternoon there, and how sometimes you need to trust a player and play them again. The fact that you didn't play him after Selhurst Park, and you sort of moved players out of position to cover for that position, does that show a sort of lack of trust now in Nuno?
No, the lack of trust, I show him the way I communicate with them to give them the right reasons, and when I put a player on the pitches, because I can see that he's in the right conditions to do that. To show him trust, and for the player to show trust to us, is I'm going to give him the opportunity when I believe that he is ready to do that. When I see in the moment that he's doubting, I don't give him any favor, put him in there. And then you can discuss whether Granit can play there. Just look at the stats when the team has played with Granit as a left back. They don't get much better than that.
Is there a sort of belief problem with Nuno? Have you seen that then recently?
With Nuno? No.
Yeah.
No belief. He needs to go through periods. Like, I can put you examples of any player that has been in this squad. Not always good periods, difficult periods. But those difficult periods are the best moment to learn and to overcome, and to have the ability after to develop into a much better player.
Just on Granit being a left back, obviously there's been a lot of spotlight on that decision and the fact that maybe it disrupted the team, moving players out of position, Martin playing deeper. Are you confident if you use that system again on Saturday that you're confident it can work and you can get performance out of it?
When I'm convinced that I'm going to do something that's the best for the team, then it's going to be just whether you win or don't win. The problem, I guarantee, was Granit playing as a fullback today.
Okay,
Hi, Mikel. I know for long periods of the season, I guess tactical clarity has been really important. So when you are missing players like Thomas Kieran and Takahiro, how do you maintain that tactical clarity with the guys that fill in?
If you have the elements to change one piece for another, it's simple. When you don't, you have to figure out what to do without putting the players in situations that they are not comfortable, and trying to exploit the maximum quality of the players and ask them to do things that they are capable of doing. And hopefully you can have every element just to change it and don't touch anything else. And when you don't have, you have to look for other solutions.
Is it easy to find those solutions, or do you find yourself almost with sleepless nights?
It's not whether it's easy or it's complicated. It's what you have, and you have to try to make the best out of that. There were moments that we have played Ben a fullback instead of somebody else, and you won the match, and I haven't heard any comments about him playing as a fullback. When you don't, obviously everything is there to be judged, but it's better to do it before the game, not after.
And just on the player protection, I was just wondering, with Bukayo, we've seen throughout the season there's almost been rotational fouls. So one time it might be a left back, then it's a centre back that does it. Does that almost feel like a loophole in kind of the rules when teams can get away with that?
That's again the referee's decisions to judge that. I'm sure that they're on top of that. They recognize the patterns of the play that has been targeted, and they will try to protect him when they can.
Okay, Kai from Football London.
You've spoken before about the specificity that you need to play sort of 4-3-3 you've been playing over the past few months. With the injuries that you've suffered recently, do you still feel that you have that in the squad?
You have different qualities, and depending on the role and what the game requires or the spaces that you want to attack or defend, it can become more challenging because of the numbers that we have. Obviously, it's obvious that we don't have the capacity to change too much there.
And just on the striking position, Emile did an interview a few weeks back saying that he's not really worked on playing as a false nine, although you said you think he can play there. Have you been working more recently with him on playing as a false nine, or is it a case that he's a little bit further behind the likes of Martinelli or Nketiah or Lacazette in the pecking order for the striking position?
You're talking about Eddie?
Emile, sorry.
Sorry, Emile. No, because as well he's not been completely fit to be training and playing every game, but it's a possibility. Is a position that I think that he can fulfill in the future, but he needs training and needs experience in.
And just for this weekend, is playing Martinelli up front an option you might be considering against Southampton, or are you looking to stick with Lacazette, or difficult to say right now?
We have many options, so you will see tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, last couple in the broadcast section. Sonia, do you have one?
Yes. Are you taking any measures to limit any future injuries at this stage of the season, and how important is that?
Well, we try to do the best as we can, monitor the players, treat them, give them the right training sessions, and we haven't had a lot of injuries this season. We have some now important injuries to very important players in a crucial moment of the season, and we want to try to avoid that, and if possible, get them back as quick as possible.
And how significant is this game in terms of the top four race, given the last two results?
Every game, but obviously when you lose, the next game it takes more importance, and we know that.
Okay, James from Haters.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Since Cedric's come back to the scene, he's been recalled to the Portuguese national team, and this weekend he's playing against his former side, Southampton. Just how impressed have you been with him since he's come back in at right back?
Really happy for him because he has a huge ambition to play the World Cup with the national team, and his experience and his age as well knows that he can be one of the last opportunities that he has. He's been working really well. Always when he hasn't played, his attitude has been excellent, and it's good because he can give his options.
And two of your former sides had misfortunes in the Europa League last night. Barcelona got knocked out, and Rangers went through to the semis. On Xavi, you were probably at the club when he was just starting off in the first team. How impressed have you been with him since he's taken over at Newcastle?
Well, someone that knows the club extremely well, that he came in a really difficult moment, and I think he's bringing a lot of stability. He was given the right support as well in January to bring some big players that he was needed, and so far he's doing a great job.
Okay, that finishes the broadcast section, so farewell to everyone on Zoom.